I was reborn on the same day as my first love, the day we had to accept our college offers. She turned down a better school, an Ivy League acceptance, to follow the guy she'd crushed on all through high school to his second-tier state university. This time, I didn't follow her. "Getting bold, are we, Liam?" She'd scoffed over the phone. "Don't come crying to me when you regret this." 10 years later, at our high school reunion, she and that same guy, Dylan, were the picture of success, thriving careers, a perfect marriage. And me, I was the guy in the $20 for 4 multipack t-shirt, the butt of her jokes. "I thought you were so brilliant," she said, a smirk playing on her lips, still wearing knockoffs from some sketchy website. Her laughter died the moment my celebrity wife walked in, holding our daughter's hand, to take me home. Chloe's composure shattered, and she ran after me, her voice breaking. "Liam, how could you have a child with someone else?" Chloe Vance and Dylan Ashford were the undisputed king and queen of our graduating class, and tonight they were holding court. Old classmates swarmed them, the air thick with sycophantic praise. "Dylan, man, you were the campus king back in the day. Haven't changed a bit." It had to be Chloe to finally land him. "I swear, half the girls in our year had a meltdown the day you two made it Facebook official. Haha. A tech mogul and a legal powerhouse. It's like something out of a movie." Chloe offered a prim, practice smile. "Oh, stop it, you guys." Dylan just pulled her in tighter. "Make sure you all clear your calendars for the wedding. Wouldn't miss it for the world." Of course, you couldn't talk about Chloe and Dylan's epic romance without someone bringing up my history as her pathetic, loyal simp. The gossip was just too juicy. "Hey, Liam chased you for, what, all 4 years?" someone chimed in. "We used to call him her shadow. Couldn't get rid of the guy." Whatever competition Chloe entered, he'd sign up for it too, just to get her attention. All that effort, and for what? He was just a placeholder. Chloe, looking bored, took a delicate sip of her wine. "If I'm not interested, I'm not interested. Trying harder doesn't change anything." Dylan nuzzled her cheek affectionately. "My wife is always right." "Ugh, get a room," someone groaned, though they were all eating it up. That's when someone spotted me. "Hey, Liam Carter's here." I was in an oversized t-shirt and baggy shorts. I gave a polite nod to the group. The only thing remotely formal about me was the pair of worn-out sneakers on my feet, though I'd clearly made an effort to wipe them down before leaving the house. Standing in a sea of suits and cocktail dresses, I stuck out like a sore thumb. The conversation ground to an awkward halt. "Don't mind me, you guys keep chatting," I said, turning to find a quiet spot on a couch. But Dylan wasn't done with me. "Liam, hold on," he called out, his eyes glinting with malice. "Is that sure a knockoff?" The others had been thinking the same thing, their shared glances confirming it. "Yep, $20 for a 4-pack online," I admitted, showing off the shirt. It was a chaotic mess of designer logos all mashed together. A Gucci SG intertwined with a mangled Louis Vuitton pattern, an Adidas-style logo with 4 stripes instead of 3. A true work of counterfeit art. A few classmates couldn't hold back their snickers. "That's a steal, ha ha ha." Some were amused, others were mocking. Chloe's voice cut through the laughter, adding fuel to the fire. "I thought you were so brilliant. Still wearing cheap crap from the internet." The room went quiet. Everyone wore the same hungry expression, eager to see the drama unfold. Dylan's chin was practically in the air. He was so pleased with himself. I just found it all bizarre. Who says smart people can't wear comfortable clothes? I gestured around the room. Besides, isn't it hot in here, even with the AC blasting? It was true. A thin sheen of sweat was visible on nearly everyone's forehead, including Chloe's and Dylan's. They were so desperate to show off, they'd piled on everything they could. Designer watches, necklaces, earrings, beaded bracelets. The works. Chloe's eye twitched. "Your comebacks have definitely gotten sharper." The class president, trying to defuse the tension, stepped in. "Hey, Mr. Cooper won't be here for another couple of hours. Who's up for some pool downstairs?" The more perceptive ones took the hint and dragged Dylan away. "Yeah, Dylan, let's go. Show us that legendary pool shark form again." I still can't believe old Cooper is so cheap. Rented 2 floors of a hotel for this reunion. I take back every time I complained about him yelling in homeroom. With the crowd thinning out, I leaned against the balcony railing, replying to a few texts on my phone. When I turned back around, Chloe was standing there, her eyes raking over me from head to toe. "Liam, Do you regret it? Not going to the same college as me? She asked. You know, I could probably help you out. Get you a position at Dylan's company. I laughed. A genuine, honest laugh. What could I possibly have to regret? Her face froze. I know you're putting on a brave face. You must be kicking yourself inside, she insisted. But it's too late now. With that, she turned and her heels clicked an angry rhythm on the floor as she walked away. I don't remember everything from my past life, but I sure as hell remember being Chloe's doormat. I'd had a crush on her since we were freshmen in high school, but she only had eyes for Dylan. He was smart, good-looking, the kind of guy every girl at school swooned over. When the SAT scores came out, Dylan had choked. His results weren't good enough for a top-tier school. Chloe's parents absolutely forbade her from going to some lesser-known private college just for a boy, so she had to give up on following Dylan and accept an offer from a prestigious university. She'd called me then. Liam, you're coming with me, right? I stared at my own acceptance letters, all from Ivy League and top-tier engineering schools. After a long pause, I said yes. Chloe always knew how I felt about her, and she was an expert at using it. Liam, will you sign up for the debate competition with me? Please, she'd ask. I'm so scared I'll bomb and look like an idiot up there by myself. I can never say no, and so, with zero public speaking skills, I made myself the laughingstock of the entire university. During college, Dylan cycled through girlfriends. Chloe was miserable for a long time. They were on opposite sides of the country. Seeing him was nearly impossible. Eventually, she let him go. The day after graduation, Dylan got engaged and moved abroad with his fiancée. Maybe my devotion finally moved the heavens. One night, after too many drinks, Chloe kissed me. I was floored, ecstatic. It was the happiest day of my life. Our relationship developed naturally from there. With our parents' blessings, we got married. I doted on her before and after the wedding. She rarely said she loved me, but our life was stable, comfortable, happy even. Everything shattered the day Dylan moved back to the States, divorced. Chloe's Instagram feed became a minefield of thirst traps aimed squarely at him. Behind my back, they were meeting up. Even our mutual friends started dropping hints. Hey, I heard Chloe's been catching up with old friends. How come we weren't invited? The first time she didn't come home, I lost my temper. Liam, can you not be so paranoid? She'd snapped, cutting me off. It was just a class get-together. Dylan's finally back. He's trying to start a new business, and I can help him. When he makes it big, we'll get a cut. It's an investment. She always had an excuse. My presence in her life shrank until I was barely there. Arguments devolved into her just humiliating me. Why do I have to report my every move to you? Who do you think you are? This is why you'll never be like Dylan. You're so petty and insecure. You tell my parents about this, and we're getting a divorce. This toxic triangle lasted for over 6 months. Just as I was getting used to the cold, empty apartment, she came back crying. The moment I saw her tears, I knew. Dylan was, at his core, a social climber. Chloe's salary as a lawyer wasn't enough to give him the status he craved. While he was stringing her along, he was also hitting on a wealthy heiress in his social circle. Soon enough, he announced his new relationship online. Chloe wanted me to take her on vacation to get away from it all. I gripped the divorce papers in my hand so tightly my knuckles turned white, and then I threw them in the trash. Let it go, I told myself. It's over now. As long as she comes back, that's all that matters. We walked hand in hand on a beach in the Caribbean, like we were on our honeymoon again. Then I saw him. Dylan. He was there, on the same beach. Chloe instantly dropped my hand. The heiress was back at the hotel, so Dylan felt bold. He provoked me with a smirk. Chloe, forget this loser. Let's go for a swim. He waved her over. I quickly warned her. It's getting dark. The tide is dangerous. Dylan's here. It'll be fine, she snapped, pulling her arm from my grasp and running toward him without a second glance. But it wasn't fine. An accident was inevitable. Dylan sensed the rip current first and scrambled back to shore. But the current dragged Chloe farther and farther out. Without a second thought, I dove into the ocean to save her. We both drowned. After I was reborn, Chloe called to test the waters. This time, she was determined to go after Dylan from the very beginning. I told her I was going to Stanford. She immediately realized I'd been reborn, too. A cold laugh echoed through the phone. Well, look at you, Liam. Getting bold, are we? She said. Don't come crying to me when you regret this. And I did have regrets. I regretted not waking up sooner. I regretted wasting my one and only life on someone who wasn't worth it. 3-inch honey, why aren't you wearing the suit I laid out for you? A series of voice notes popped up on my phone from my wife, Maya. You didn't actually wear that t-shirt, did you? Are you at the hotel? I can have a driver bring the suit over right now. I typed back a calm reply. I'm already here, already said my hellos. Maya was still worried. But it's your high school reunion. What if they look down on you? They might not know you only bought all that stuff because you wanted to help that disabled couple selling clothes on the sidewalk. I smiled and reassured her. It's fine. If I really want to show off, I have plenty of ways to do it. That seemed to convince her. Her tone softened. Okay, that's one of the things I love about you. Have fun then. The baby and I will come pick you up tonight. Sweetie, come say bye-bye to Daddy. The sweet, 4-year-old voice of my daughter came through the phone. Bye-bye, Daddy. Their love warmed my heart completely. The elevator doors opened to the game room. When Chloe saw the happy smile on my face, a flicker of confusion crossed hers before she masked it with her usual chilly expression. A group was fawning over Dylan's pool skills, praising him to the high heavens. He held the cue stick in one hand, sleeves rolled up. Dylan, is that a sandalwood bracelet? One of the more knowledgeable guys asked, his face a mask of envy. Sandalwood was rare enough, but this type, with its rich, dark grain, was a prize collector's item. A bracelet like that cost a fortune. No way, let me see. It is, look at the size, the quality. Dylan, that thing has to be worth, what, 50, 60 grand? Dylan said, with a casual air, around 80. Actually, a chorus of gasps went through the room. Wow, Dylan, you're killing it. Now that's class. Makes the rest of us wearing smartwatches look basic. Dylan waved a dismissive hand. Hey, different strokes for different folks. And besides, it's better than having nothing at all, right? He shot a deliberate glance in my direction, making sure I caught the insult. The others exchanged smirks, their expressions dripping with contempt. I acted like I hadn't noticed, not even bothering to give him a look. Hitting a wall of indifference, Dylan's face hardened as he went back to his game. Chloe, who had been watching from the sidelines, came and sat across from me. This just proves I made the right choice, she said, her perfectly sculpted eyebrows knitting together. A Stanford grad ending up like this. You're really something else. I honestly don't know how you found the courage to show up here dressed like that. You know, if you weren't so stubborn, we could still be friends. If you'd asked to borrow money, I wouldn't have said no. I had cut her off. Whoa, stop right there. I have absolutely no intention of borrowing money from you, I said. I heard you and Dylan are getting married. Don't worry, I can afford a wedding gift. Consider it tuition for the lesson you taught me in my past life. Chloe was so angry, she nearly spilled her wine on her dress. Fine, Liam, on my wedding day, you'd better pray the security doesn't mistake you for a homeless person and throw you out. Dylan, finished with his game, walked over, his eyes fixed on me. He looked like he was about to accuse me of hitting on his fiancée. I had zero interest in that conversation. As I stood up to leave, brushing past him, the sound of beads scattering across the floor filled the air. Clack, clack, clatter. Dylan's bracelet had completely fallen apart. He spun around and grabbed me by the collar. Carter, you son of a bitch, did you do that on purpose? For a moment, everyone was silent. They looked from the scattered beads on the floor to the two of us, and you could see the conclusion forming in their minds. You can be jealous of me, fine, but did you have to destroy my bracelet? Dylan snarled, his face inches from mine. I coolly pushed his hand away. I didn't touch it. Dylan wouldn't let it go. Then how did it just break? The exact moment you walked by. How should I know? Maybe it was just cheap. Dylan's face went pale. The others, seeing their opening, jumped to his defense. Come on, Liam. We're all old classmates. Nobody was looking down on you, but this is just low. That thing is worth tens of thousands of dollars. You couldn't afford to replace it if you sold everything you own. If it were me, I'd have already knocked your teeth out. Dylan's being a real gentleman about this. Faced with a clear power imbalance, their polite masks crumbled. They didn't hesitate to attack me with their sharpest words, convinced I'd acted out of petty revenge. I remained perfectly calm. If I really wanted to break his bracelet, you think I'd be stupid enough to do it right in front of all of you? Only an idiot would do something like that. At the word idiot, Dylan's lip twitched. Tough talk. Let's check the security footage. After a tense wait, The class president returned with the video. Unfortunately, the spot where Dylan and I had been standing was a blind spot for the camera. You couldn't see our hands at all. Dylan sneered. No wonder you were just sitting there so calmly. You already knew this, didn't you? I rewound the video to 30 seconds before the incident. You could see Dylan coming out of the restroom. He glanced up at the security camera for a split second, an unnatural movement. He clearly had a plan. The recording the president brought didn't go back any further, but I already had a good idea of what had happened. The whispers around me grew louder. Looks like he's used to being a petty thief. He even knows how to scope out the blind spots. And he's a Stanford grad. All that education, and he forgot how to be a decent human being. He better not tell people he was Mr. Cooper's student. He's a disgrace. I leaned back into the sofa and studied their faces, memorizing each ugly expression. Since none of you believe me, let's call the cops. Have them dust for prints, I said. I've got all the time in the world. The class president tried to play peacemaker. Let's not escalate this. It's a reunion. We can solve this ourselves. Mr. Cooper will be here any minute. We don't need to involve the police. No way. I'm not taking the fall for this, I said, refusing to back down. I turned back to Dylan. In fact, let's have Mr. Cooper see for himself what kind of people he taught, men or animals. Dylan shot back, flustered. Carter, I'm not like you. I'm not some jobless bum. I have a business meeting out of state tonight. Every minute you waste costs me money. Can you afford to cover my losses? I chuckled. He really saw himself as some high-powered CEO whose time was worth millions per minute. Sure, I said. If my fingerprints are on that thing, I'll take out a bank loan to pay you back. I pulled out my phone to dial 911. A flicker of panic crossed Dylan's face. In the next second, Chloe snatched the phone out of my hand and turned off the screen. She stood over me, her voice dripping with condescension. Liam, haven't you caused enough trouble? 5 with Chloe backing him up, Dylan's confidence returned. He smirked, wrapping an arm around her to assert his ownership. Chloe, I believe that's called theft, isn't it, counselor? I said calmly, and this time, the camera saw everything perfectly. Give me my phone back. I held out my hand. She ignored it. It's been 10 years, Liam. No matter how jealous you are of Dylan, it won't change the fact that we're getting married. If you're so desperate for an answer, here it is, I never loved. Her words caught at her throat. Her eyes were suddenly glued to my phone screen, which had lit up with a notification. A flash of panic crossed her face. Someone had just sent me a message. I used a moment of distraction to grab my phone back. It's not polite to snoop. Dylan rolled his eyes. Please, who would want to read your texts? Probably just a debt collector. His comment drew a fresh round of laughter. It was Maya. She'd somehow heard what was going on. Honey, my friend who works at the hotel said there was some trouble in the game room. Do you need me to come over? I sent her a reassuring emoji. Small problem. Don't worry. Dylan was getting impatient. Are you done texting your loan shark? He taunted. Look, Carter, I'm not a totally unreasonable guy. We're old classmates. The bracelet can probably be rest strong. Just apologize to me in front of everyone, and we'll call it even for $5,000. Just then, one of his cronies who was helping him pick up the beads chimed in maliciously. Dylan, I don't think $5,000 is going to cut it. He pointed under the pool table. Several of the dark, wooden beads had been crushed into powder. Dylan clenched his fists. I can't believe how low you'd sink. I'm not being nice. $80,000. Not a penny less. Then you'd better call the cops to get her justice, I said, and calmly started dialing again. Mr. Carter, the hotel's general manager, had arrived. He gave me a slight bow. The others were too far away to hear what he called me, but Chloe, who was closer, whipped her head around and stared at me in disbelief. The manager cleared his throat, addressing the room. Good evening, everyone. I'm the general manager of the hotel. I sincerely apologize for this disturbance. If you'll allow me, I'd like to understand the situation so I can ensure justice is served for our guests. Dylan, confident the manager was there to support him, stepped aside. The manager knelt, put on a pair of white gloves, and examined the dust on the floor. He then asked Dylan's friend for the elastic cord from the bracelet and held it up to the light, inspecting it carefully. His professional demeanor seemed to unnerve Dylan. Give that back, Dylan snapped at his friend. The truth is obvious. He broke my bracelet and then crushed the beads. The manager shook his head. I'm not so sure about that, Mr. Ashford. What? A 5-star hotel is going to defend some psycho. You're right, there is a psycho here, the manager said, his smile not reaching his eyes. But it's you. What did you say? Dylan's veins bulged in his neck. The manager explained calmly and logically. The break in the elastic cord is perfectly clean. It was clearly cut with a sharp object. The security footage shows that when you came out of the restroom, your hand was already clenched in a fist. The bracelet was likely already broken then. You were just holding onto the cord, waiting for Mr. Carter to walk by, so you could let it go. Before the words were even out of his mouth, Dylan lunged, swinging a fist at the manager's chest. The manager sidestepped and expertly flipped him onto the floor. Self-defense, he said lightly. Of course, this is all just speculation on my part. If you feel I'm slandering you, Mr. Ashford, you're more than welcome to call the police. They can test for Mr. Carter's fingerprints. The elastic cord was now being passed around the stunned onlookers. The manager added one final blow. Also, your rare sandalwood beads. They're fakes. The color drained from Dylan's face. It was as if a light bulb went on over everyone's head. The classmate who had first identified the bracelet scrambled forward. They're fake, he exclaimed. The outside looks convincing, but the dust, the residue inside. It's completely wrong, and real high-grade sandalwood wouldn't crush that easily. The atmosphere in the room turned painfully awkward, then exploded. The focus of the ridicule and pointed fingers shifted instantly to Dylan. So he staged the whole thing. What a waste of my sympathy. You really can't judge a book by its cover. Dylan looks so polished, but he's a manipulative snake, preying on the quiet ones. I'm definitely not sticking my neck out for him again. Who knows when he'd try to frame me for something. If you're broke, just say so. Don't be a poser. The crowd took a collective step back, putting a physical distance between themselves and him. I couldn't help but give him a round of applause for his spectacular performance. TSK. No wonder you were so scared of me calling the cops. You knew you'd be exposed. Dylan's lips trembled. He scrambled up from the floor, humiliated. You'll pay for this, he muttered under his breath. What are you looking at? Give it back, he yelled at the person holding the cord. Chloe stared at my face, her expression unreadable, before she turned and followed Dylan out of the room. The manager offered me a cigar. Mr. Carter, thanks, but I don't smoke. He smiled and put it away. My apologies. Not at all. Did Maya send you? Yes. Mrs. Reed is on her way from home, but it will be a little while. She wanted me to check on the situation first. I thanked him. It's my duty, sir. After all, you and Mrs. Reed are two of the hotel's primary investors. After a brief chat, the manager returned to his duties. The onlookers immediately swarmed me, their faces alight with manufactured warmth. What did he call you, Mr. Carter? You know the manager? Are you related? Liam, my man, what business are you in? Let us in on it. I deflected their questions with vague pleasantries, feeling nothing but contempt. Such opportunistic, fair-weather friends. My wife video-called me. I made an excuse and stepped away to a quieter corner to answer. Her face filled the screen, the background a luxurious presidential suite in the hotel. The baby and I are just going to relax here for a bit, she said softly. If you're not having fun, you can come up anytime. I smiled, a mix of helplessness and adoration. Do you think I'm a child? You worry too much. Maya pouted playfully. Thank you, my lady, for saving this damsel in distress. She burst out laughing at that. Okay. I think Mr. Cooper is here. You should go say hi. A commotion was starting inside. Following the sound, I saw a crowd gathered around our old teacher. Mr. Cooper was only in his 50s, but his hair was completely white. The years had carved deep lines into his face, a poignant reminder of how much time had passed. He didn't remember many of the students, but his face lit up when he saw me. He called my name over the crowd. Liam, I was worried you'd be too busy with your business to make it. I took his hand, calloused from years of holding chalk, my heart filled with gratitude. Mr. Cooper, of course I'd come. I had to be here to see you. He beamed, and a lump formed in my throat. I remembered my past life, how I'd gone behind my parents and his back to change my college choice. He had been so disappointed in me. His lecture delivered with tears in his eyes. I had failed his expectations. Every year after that, he would message me to ask how I was doing. When he heard I'd started my own company, that it was successful, and that I'd married Chloe, he was finally able to let go of his disappointment. Gold will shine wherever it is, he'd encouraged me. This time, I had lived for myself. I could ignore everyone else in that room, but I had to show my gratitude to Mr. Cooper. As the servers brought out the food, Mr. Cooper pulled me into the seat of honor next to him. "Class," he announced, raising his glass. "The person we should all be thanking tonight for making this gathering possible is Liam Carter." He toasted me. I was stunned, but I raised my glass to meet his. "And of course," he continued, "his wonderful wife, Mrs. Maya Reed." Confused murmurs rippled through the room. In the corner, Dylan slammed his chopsticks down. Chloe must have said something to him, because he didn't storm out, though he looked like he desperately wanted to. Dozens of curious eyes turned to me. Chloe's were among them, but her gaze was filled with something else. Was it sorrow? What's Cooper talking about? What did Liam do? Wait, isn't there a famous actress named Maya Reed? I was just binge-watching her new show. Bingo, you got it. Mr. Cooper beamed, giving a thumbs up. Liam's wife is the Maya Reed. Thanks to those two, we're celebrating in this incredible hotel, with 2 entire floors reserved just for us. The room fell silent. Everyone looked completely petrified. Dylan's eyes were practically shooting flames of jealousy at me. Now it was Mr. Cooper's turn to be confused. "You all didn't know? Liam is the CEO of a gaming company, and his wife is a shareholder in this hotel chain. They're footing the bill for everything tonight. They just wanted to do it under my name. They're far too humble, but I can't take credit for their generosity." For the rest of the dinner, they lined up to toast me, showering me with the most extravagant compliments. If I weren't good at holding my liquor, I would have been under the table. I collected a stack of business cards. "Mr. Carter, I was blind. Please, if you ever need anything, just say the word. Liam, man, we were on a basketball team together, remember? We should shoot some hoops again sometime." Chloe started to walk toward me several times, but always stopped, silently putting her glass down. She didn't eat a single bite. The reunion eventually wound down. Down in the lobby, Maya was waiting for me, wearing sunglasses and a mask, holding our daughter's hand. "Daddy," my little girl cried, running toward me. I smiled, squatting down to sweep her up into a hug. "Did you miss me, sweetie?" "Yes." My old classmates nodded and praised her. "Mr. Carter, your daughter is adorable. So grown up. She's the spitting image of her parents." "Hello, uncles and aunties," my daughter said politely, melting their hearts. Someone finally noticed Maya. Even in a simple dress, she was radiant, a star in the crowded lobby. "Oh my God, is that really Maya Reed? I have to get an autograph." "Me too. And a picture." Soon, it was just me, my daughter, and a motionless Chloe, who looked like she'd been frozen in place. "Whatever. It's not a big deal," Dylan muttered as he walked away, though he couldn't resist sneaking a glance at Maya. Maya graciously agreed to their requests. "Of course, but let's find a spot with a little more room." She took off her sunglasses, revealing a pair of stunning, expressive eyes, and shot me a playful wink. I pretended not to see Chloe standing behind me, stumbling as if she'd been struck. "Daddy, I'm going to go play with the other kids," my daughter whispered. "Okay, sweetie. Be careful, and don't go too far from Mommy and Daddy." The second my daughter was gone, Chloe rushed forward and grabbed my arm, tears streaming down her face. "Liam, how could you have a child with someone else?" 8. The last thing I wanted was a public scene. I immediately tried to distance myself. "What do you mean, someone else?" I said firmly. "She's my wife. We have a marriage license." Chloe was sobbing. "But you said you would love me forever." I almost laughed. "That was a lifetime ago, Chloe. The day you started emotionally cheating on me with Dylan was the day I stopped loving you." She frantically shook her head. "No, that's not true. You threw away the divorce papers. You said you didn't care about any of that. So you and her. This is all just for show, right?" She pleaded, her mind racing. "I know how Hollywood works. It's a PR relationship, a contract marriage." I just shrugged. "Then how do you explain our daughter? Would you like a DNA test?" My blunt honesty shattered her. She crumpled, her knees buckling, drawing stares from people passing by. I rubbed my forehead, deeply uncomfortable. Chloe was still trying to convince herself. It was an accident. The child must have been an accident. We were together for so many years. I don't believe you could just let me go. "Liam, I'm not marrying Dylan. You can divorce her, okay? I admit it. I was just trying to make you jealous. I don't even love Dylan anymore." It was all to get back at you for not choosing me 10 years ago, for going to school I couldn't even dream of getting into. What was the point of saying all this now? My voice was flat. Chloe, you were the one who told me not to regret it. And I don't. Not for a second. We're almost 30. Stop living in the past. Move on. Never. She shot back. We went through life and death together. How can she just replace me so easily? I gave her the cold, hard truth. Did I volunteer for that life and death experience? If you hadn't insisted on going into the ocean with Dylan that night, I'd still be alive and well. I never owed you anything, Chloe. In fact, I paid for your mistake with my life. You should be grateful. The memory of the dark, churning waves brought a visceral fear back to her. The suffocating despair of that moment wasn't something time could easily erase. To this day, I have a deep fear of water. I instinctively avoid rivers, lakes, and especially the ocean. My conscience was clear when it came to Chloe. I had given her everything, and she had repaid me with betrayal and deceit, grinding my love into dust. When you've died once, you understand the value of life and of loving the right person. There was no way I was making the same mistake again. Then let me make it up to you, she cried, grasping at straws. You were willing to die for me. Surely you can forgive me just this once. She's an actress, right? You hired her to put on this show to fool me. You even fooled Mr. Cooper. And your daughter. She can't be yours. She's a child actor you hired. Fine, you win. You made me jealous. You want to hear me say I love you, is that it? Before she could say another word, I turned away, too tired to even mask my disgust, and walked into Maya's waiting arms. My old classmates, having gotten their photos, were leaving, calling out their thanks. Maya gently pinched my cheek. How much did you drink? Your face is so red. I'll make you some soup when we get home. You're the best, I murmured and gave her a deep kiss. Chloe watched us, her eyes turning an even deeper shade of red. Maya glanced at her once, then said nothing. I laced my fingers through hers and called our daughter back to our side. Let's go home. We walked out as a family, a picture of happiness. Liam, Chloe called after me one last time, but I didn't turn around. 9. After I tucked our daughter into bed, Maya and I lay curled up together. She just watched me, her eyes full of unspoken questions. She had obviously seen the whole exchange in the lobby. Are you jealous? I whispered. You know, you and our little girl are my whole world. I nuzzled her nose. Even without a trace of makeup, she was more beautiful than anyone on screen. Maya buried her face in my chest. Just a little bit, she mumbled. I know you love me most. I don't want her to bother us. I don't want to see you unhappy. Her understanding made my heart ache. It only strengthened my resolve to spend my life making her happy. Maya and I met through a game, one that I had developed. It had just launched, and she was one of the very first players. With so few users, the server kept matching us together. We added each other as friends and started playing regularly, getting to know each other. She had incredible insights and gave me tons of suggestions for improving the user experience. She was shocked when she found out I worked for the gaming company. When I asked what she did for a living, she just said it was a secret. I didn't want to pry, so I respected her privacy, and we remained online friends. She would share snippets of her daily life with me, and I found myself drawn to her energy, her wit, the vibrant personality that shone through her texts. I started developing feelings for her. One day, she told me she wanted to meet in person. She flew to my city. That's when I found out she was a huge star. What's wrong? Do I have something on my face? She asked, seeing my stunned silence. I was speechless. She was breathtaking. I finally found my voice. No, you're just really beautiful. A radiant smile spread across her face, a smile that would forever be burned into my memory. I was too intimidated to confess my feelings, afraid she'd think I was just another guy obsessed with her looks. It was Maya who finally got impatient. Are you going to make a move or not? She demanded, before pulling me into a fierce kiss. When I later asked her why she liked me, her answer was serious. Every other guy in my life pursued me for my looks. You were the only one who listened to my endless rambling and cared about how I felt, even when we'd never even swapped photos. And besides, she added with a grin, you're pretty handsome yourself. She was a gift from the universe, one that taught me that love isn't a one-way street of sacrifice. It's about two people meeting in the middle. Maya gave me a profound sense of security. She went public with our marriage early in her career. To protect my privacy as a non-celebrity, she would post pictures showing her love for our family without showing my face, shots of the meals I cooked for her, or the intricate braids I wove into our daughter's hair. Her fans adored it, calling me the perfect, down-to-earth husband. My life was as close to perfect as it could get. The next day, I was dropping our daughter off at her dance class when I ran right into Chloe. Maya's intuition had been spot on. "Have a good class, sweetie," I said, waving with a smile. The second my daughter was inside, my expression turned to ice as I faced Chloe. She didn't know our exact address, so she must have been wandering the neighborhood all day, or maybe she'd followed us home last night. She bit her lip, her swollen eyes looking like they were about to overflow again. "I'm sorry. Dylan and I broke up. My patience was gone." "And? What does that have to do with me?" "Liam, I regret everything," she pleaded. "I finally know what it feels like to have my heart ripped out. I know I hurt you. I shouldn't have taken your love for granted, or thrown away the meals you cooked, or called your passion for gaming a waste of time." I frowned. It sounded like she'd spent all night scrolling through Maya's entire social media history, piecing together our love story. "Enough. I'm happy now," I said sharply. "There's nothing more to say. We are completely, totally over. Don't ever show up in front of me or my child again, or I will call the police." Kids are smart. I didn't want my daughter growing up feeling anxious or insecure. 10. "You're lying, Liam," Chloe said, shaking her head with a strange, unnerving smile. Her sudden calm put me on high alert. In a flash, she lunged and ripped the chain from around my neck. "See? You don't really love her. You don't even wear your wedding ring," she declared triumphantly. "You're still wearing the four-leaf clover I gave you in high school." "Wait, what is this?" Her voice died as she stared at what was actually hanging from the chain, my wedding band. She was speechless. "Oh, that old thing? I threw it out ages ago," I said nonchalantly. "And I do a lot of chores at home. Wearing a ring on my finger is inconvenient, so I wear it around my neck." I couldn't resist the jab. Chloe froze, as if she'd been electrocuted. Her voice trembled. "You threw it away?" "Yep." I nodded, as if it were nothing. It wasn't worth much anyway. She bit her lip so hard I thought it would bleed. "You're cruel," she choked out. "You told me it was the first gift I ever gave you, that it was more precious than gold." I had said that. In my past life, long after we were married, she'd asked about the necklace I always wore. That tarnished, silver four-leaf clover pendant was something I had treasured. I'd replaced the chain multiple times. It was a cheap trinket she'd given me in high school as a reluctant return gift after I'd spent 2 months of my allowance on a watch for her birthday, the trendy model every girl wanted back then. "Why? Why are you so heartless?" The other parents picking up their kids were starting to stare, their faces etched with disapproval, clearly thinking I was some horrible jerk. Thankfully, Maya arrived. "Honey," she called out, "you're so forgetful. You forgot our daughter's dance shoes." I immediately took the bag and went into the studio. I saw my daughter, already in her dance shoes, practicing her routine. I understood Maya's brilliant excuse. She must have been watching from outside and seen Chloe approach me. She'd changed clothes and rushed over. I quietly tucked the spare shoes into my daughter's backpack. When I came back out, Maya and Chloe were locked in a silent standoff. "Honey, let's go see a movie," Maya said, linking her arm through mine affectionately. "We can pick her up after class is over." "Okay, whatever you want," I said, gently stroking her hair. Chloe looked at us, a wildness in her eyes, before she shoved past us and ran off. "Are you okay?" I asked Maya, worried. She shook her head. "I'm fine. You protected me." I was angry enough to go after Chloe and demand an apology, but Maya held me back. "She'll figure out one day," she said softly. "Let's not let her ruin our date." The last time I ever heard from Chloe, she was drunk at a bar and had called me over 100 times in one night. I finally blocked her number. Maya, however, urged me to answer just once. What if she does something stupid? It wouldn't be right. With a sigh, I unblocked her and picked up. Chloe's voice was a slurry of laughter and tears. "Liam, I knew it. I knew you still had feelings for me. You couldn't cut me off completely. I've thought about it. I don't mind that you have a wife and a kid. I don't need a title. I can be your mistress, as long as you'll love me again, as long as you'll be good to me like you used to be." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Maya and I just looked at each other, speechless. With the last shred of my patience, I replied, Chloe, just because you were unfaithful in your marriage doesn't mean I would ever betray my family. I suggest you get some self-respect. Think about your parents. Cherish the life you have now. Then I blocked her number permanently. After that, life returned to its peaceful rhythm. When Maya had to travel for filming, I'd take our daughter and we'd go with her, turning her work trips into family vacations all over the country. We were always together. One day, Maya saw Dylan's name trending online. His whole tech mobile persona had been a sham. He'd been arrested and was facing prison time for fraud. Without Chloe's legal guidance to keep him in check, he'd completely gone off the rails after their breakup. All right, that's enough scrolling, I said, taking her phone. Time to get back to work. She huffed playfully and got up to focus on her script. In front of the camera, she was a true professional, mesmerizingly beautiful and focused. She was the one and only leading lady of my life.